All right, guys. This is your introduction to sequences and series. We're going to just start off with a few definitions and just to kind of figure it out as we go. First of all, when we talk about a sequence, this is any ordered list of numbers. This is an ordered list of numbers, while the series is if I just take all those numbers and add them up. So let's talk about a few sequences. See if you can get the following. So all you're trying to do is within this number pattern is figure out the next one. So what's the next number in this sequence? Should be 28 if you figured out the pattern. So each one of these I'm adding 8 plus 8 each time. Okay, how about this one? Should have got 40. Each time I'm multiplying by 2. So 5 times 2 is 10, 10 times 2 is 20, 20 times 2 equals 40. Tough one. Each number comes from the two ones before it. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 5 plus 8 is 13. This is actually what's called the Fibonacci sequence. We don't have to do anything with that, but kind of an interesting pattern. So here's some definitions. We'll start with the basic ones. We're going to talk about arithmetic sequences. This is basically the only pattern, and an example that we used in the beginning, is whether we're adding or subtracting. So to get from one term to the next term, we're adding or subtracting. That brings us to our first definition of n. This is the term. So I'm going to use the bottom as an example. So if I say n equals 1, I'm talking about the number 4. N equals 2, n equals 3, n equals 4, keeps going on. So that's just the term. U subscript n is the value of the term. Oops. And then whenever we refer to d, we're talking about the difference. In other words, what we add or subtract. And if I talk about r, I'm talking about the rate. So you can see d for difference, r for rate, and this is what we multiply by. We won't deal with that today. So here's an example. Back to this original one, the 4, 12, 20. Let's talk about some key definitions. First of all, what is the difference? Your difference should be 8, and we discussed this before. This is just how much am I going up by for each one. What would be the value of the fifth term? Well, if I have 4, 12, 20, which is the first, second, and third term, the fourth term has to be 28. The fifth term is 36. So the answer to this is 36. What if we want to find the 20th term? Well, what we have here is a nice little formula, and you'll be given this so you don't have to memorize. But write this down, could put this somewhere for your homework. If I want the 20th term, I can write a general equation. The general equation for this series would be un, that means the value of any term, equals the value of the first one. For us, that's 4. Plus n minus 1 times the difference. And for us, that's 8. So if I want to find the 20th term, I actually just plug in 20 anywhere I have an n. So I end up with 4 plus 19 times 8, which is 19 times 8, 162 plus 4. So the value of the 20th term, plus 4, is 166. So that allows us to be able to jump around a little bit more. Okay? So let's move on. And I believe it is actually 156. Sorry about that. 19 times 8. 152, not 162. Sorry. Next one. What if I give you this equation, and we talk about this sequence, and I want the 40th term? What is the 40th term? Well, same thing as before. Can set up, I know U1 is the first term. It's also 4 on this one. It's not always 4, but I put it twice in a row. And the difference on this one, I'm going up by 5. So, U subscript 40 equals 4 plus 40 minus 1 times 5. Let's see if I can do this one a little bit better. 39 times 5. So I end up with 45, 195 plus 4. So the value of the 40th term is 199. Okay? Now, a couple questions we can come. How would I know if 829 is in the sequence? So try to answer that question. I can set it up as 829 equals, still the first term. Don't know what term it is, but I know my difference is still 5. Subtract 4, I get 825 equals n minus 1 times 5. I can divide by 5, divide by 5. I get 165 equals n minus 1. In other words, n equals 166. It's the 166th term. How do you know 2,341 is not a number in the sequence? Same thing, 2,341 equals 4 plus n minus 1 times 5. Subtract, I get 2,337 equals n minus 1 divided by 5. Divide by 5 here. I get n minus 1 equals 467.4. Add 1, I get n equals 467.4 plus 1, or 468.4. Why do I know that n doesn't work? Or why do I know 2,341 doesn't work? Okay, that's it. Go ahead and try a few of these problems. Number 7a is a little bit tougher and I haven't talked about, but please try it anyway.